Hello, everybody. Kay Crystal Griffith here, and welcome back for another round of emotions, wisdom, and your body. Today, we get to delve into the green-eyed monster. But before we do, here's your disclaimer. Just remember, I am not a doctor. I do not play one on TV or on any social media platform. I am here to educate, to edify, and encourage. So, I hope you'll remember emotions are your body's wisdom. So let's gain some new wisdom today. Let's talk about that green-eyed monster, jealousy. I'm sure you have never, ever wanted anything that somebody else might have had. New car, dress, child, husband, relationship, job, parents. Have I hit all of it? Relationship with God even. It's kind of crazy. People actually will covet somebody else's relationship with God, wishing that they had it. It amazes me what we choose to be jealous about. Isn't it interesting how we do that though? Well, if I could only be more prophetic like them, or if I could only, have miracles happen, or if I could receive a miracle, those are all forms of jealousy and coveting. And let's find out what that's doing to you. So the green-eyed monster, or jealousy, generally refers to the thoughts or feelings of insecurity, fear, concern over a relative lack, or of possessions, or even lack of safety, an unhappy or angry feeling of wanting to have something somebody else has. So jealousy can consist of one or more emotions, which include anger, resentment, hostility even, inadequacy, helplessness, disgust. Tends to leave you in a victim mentality, that is for sure. In its original meaning, jealousy was very distinct from envy. They were not considered the same. But now, as time has progressed, you tend to use them pretty interchangeably. And so, what are some types of jealousy? Perhaps you have sibling rivalry, workplace rivalry, romantic rivalry, or even a friendship or platonic rivalry. I remember very clearly in the third grade for my child, there were two best friends and all the world was going to end because the minute you have the triangle, it's all over with in elementary school, right? I want you to talk about, for just a second, jealousy fallout. What happens with jealousy? You have reactive jealousy. That's basically catching somebody red-handed in the act of doing something that you are jealous about. You also have suspicious jealousy. Think in terms of narcissism, always thinking that somebody else is doing something, right? Now, if they've given you good reason, then the suspicion is accurate, probably, or the suspicion is founded, right? But to think that somebody is doing something and that's why you react in a certain way or take control in a certain way, that falls under narcissism. And then there's delusional jealousy. Think in terms of that old 80s movie, Fatal Attraction. Yeah, that's what you get there. It's also a gaslighting effect with delusional jealousy, where somebody has said something and then told you that you said it or you agreed to it, and you didn't even have the conversation with them. That's gaslighting in the shortest form. So is it negative or is it positive? Because it sounds like it's negative, right? Let's come back to that in a minute. Feelings of jealousy are a natural reaction if one feels that their current state of well-being is being threatened by another. Well, that sounds like it kind of falls under fight, flight, freeze, or faint, doesn't it? So other effects of jealousy include a decrease in one's perceived self-worth. So you're basically allowing someone else to give you how much you're worth and to value you. Pretty sure that's not their job. It's no one's job on this earth to give you your worth or your value. That comes because you exist. Your value, your worth is because you are here. You are alive. The Creator has created you. That's what deems you worthy. Nothing anyone or anything else can do or say for you on this earth deems your worthiness. Only God. Okay? So if we think in terms of perceiving our self-worth through someone else because we feel jealous, typically that insecurity, right? So we're not coming from a place that Christ gives it to us. We're looking for it from somewhere else or someone else. That can lead to feelings of bitterness because now you're never going to be worthy enough. You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to live up to it. And then that can also be breaking up of relationships. That can lead to prolonged depression, extreme anxiety, panic attacks, crying, increased pulse rates, sweating, and shaking. All parts of those physical symptoms of jealousy. Now, I thought this was pretty cool what I found out there on the web here. So for your brain, your amygdala, your insula, and your anterior cingulate cortex, say that fast 3 times. Those are the neural nodes of fear, anger, and disgust. And they all swing into high gear with jealousy. Do you remember that little movie Inside Out? You should check that one out again because it was very clear what disgust looked like. Remember that? The social pain of comparison is experienced much like how you feel physical pain. Now, isn't that an interesting thought? So your jealousy can act like physical pain. On your stomach, the threat of a challenger who could leave you jobless, maybe even single, it's a rival in some form, that activates a fear reaction in your amygdala that then triggers fight, flight, freeze, or faint, which then ramps up the production of our adrenaline and our noradrenaline. Remember those? So what about your eyes? This was really interesting. Comparing yourself with potential rivals. So if you think that you need to, especially for women, look like or act like some other woman to get your man's attention, we got an issue right there. I got news for you. That is not a good plan. Okay. And we can talk more about that in a bit. But the idea is, if you think that's the case, then you will begin to look at who could be your potential rivals. This is a real issue because when you do that, you are actually forming strong memories of what your rival looks like. And that then can cause you to be distracted, and then you have trouble spotting the obvious. So you're so caught up in finding what your rival looks like for a relationship situation, right? Finding what the rival looks like, or even in a work situation, who you think you're compared to, and you focus so much on them that you form this memory in your head that becomes so strong, you then miss what is right in front of you. Think about that for a minute. This is why you don't drive when you're jealous, actually. If you are in a fit of rage, this is exactly why you don't drive. Because in that fit of rage of jealousy, you are now oblivious to what is around you, including people, cars, people walking, people on bikes, missing red lights. Kind of crazy, isn't it? So what about your heart? That was just your eyes. Now we're going to talk about your heart. The sympathetic nervous system buckles. It doesn't just break. It buckles under the stress of jealousy. This is a major deal. The quickening of your heart can spike also your blood pressure so fast, it can cause your heart to buckle. So that is coming from a neuroscientist. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. Jealousy decreases one's perceived self-worth, as we mentioned, your emotional instability. It increases feelings of bitterness, the breaking off of relationships, prolonging depression, hampering your mental peace, and then creates all kinds of miscommunication because you can't focus on the obvious anymore. This is a pretty major deal for this particular emotion on your body. So back to the, is it positive or negative? Because we still haven't heard anything really positive yet, have we? Here's the positive piece. Jealousy can drive you to do 3 key things. The first is enhance productivity. So your jealousy, think of it from a workplace, your jealousy of trying to achieve another position or trying to be in competition, maybe it's two of you vying for the same position, that can enhance your productivity. It can also cause you to lose a lack of sleep, fatigue, stress, high blood pressure, but putting those aside, it can enhance your productivity, which also means you can then rely on more built-in strength and you begin to look for your hidden potentials. What makes you stand apart from that other person, that other rival, that competition that you see? That leads us to number 2, which can then open up doors of opportunities because you begin to think outside the box. So if I wanted that position, what about that position do I really like? And once you identify what you really want out of that position, because folks, it's not really always about the money, I promise you. I know we think that it's about the money. It's not. You can have all the money in the world and be unhappy, folks. There's a lot of multimillionaire and billionaires like that. I know you're going to argue with me. I get it. You're going to be like, oh, but the money would make my life so much easier. For material things, for resources, absolutely. It sure will. But you can have all the money in the world and die a grumpy old person because no one loves you and they were only around you for the money. So your heart makes a huge difference in your motivation about that money. So that opening the door of opportunities, I want you to look at that person that you feel like you want to rival for, or that job position that you want to rival for, or even your relationship with God, that you want somebody else's relationship because you're like, oh, I wish I could be like them, right? I want you to ask the Lord, what is it about that situation that you are so attracted to? And really begin to delve into that. Because there's something in there that is attracting you, but that heart motivation is going to make all the difference in the world for you to step into it in favor, stepping into it in blessing. From a jealous perspective, it's not going to happen, right? But from a field of favor, from a position of strategy with the Lord, of opening and timing and favor, that's a whole nother ball of wax. And then you're walking in your abundance, your fullness, your destiny. Food for thought. Now, the number 3, jealousy multiplies your curiosity. I kind of touched on this in number 2 when I wanted you to ask those questions, right? But multiplying your curiosity is really following this untold path to discovering all those hidden facts, hidden potentials, and information. So those are 3 good things about jealousy. When you feel like that little green-eyed monster is raising his head, take a step back and go, okay, why am I jealous? It's not really about that person. It's not really about that job, but it's about lack that you feel in your life. Why do I feel that lack? Do I feel like God's not big enough or I'm not worthy enough? Food for thought. So how is it that we counteract jealousy then? We want to keep the positives. We want to utilize those to our advantage. But how do we really counteract the fact that you're jealous? Well, the first step, you got to acknowledge you're jealous. You got to acknowledge there is something going on for you in that moment that is causing you to be really frustrated about a person, about a situation, or about a job. Now, I just want to be clear. If you're in a relationship and your other half is constantly looking at the other people, there's another bigger issue there, and that has nothing to do with you being jealous. That has to do with a respect issue between the person that you're in relationship with and how they're treating you in that relationship and how you're allowing them to treat you in that relationship. And that is a great story for another day. So ping me and we'll have that conversation. But I just wanted to make that crystal clear. All right. So the next step in counteracting jealousy is understanding that God is more than capable to provide all you need, all of it, every last cent, every last dime, every last piece of clothing, every last piece of food. And I know there are some of you right now that are going, yeah, but you haven't seen my pantry and I am like below negative in my car and I have to go to work tomorrow and I don't even have diapers for my kid. I'm not dismissing those. Those are very real issues. And many, many, many of us have walked in those hard places. And those are the times that I have cried out on my knees to go, Lord, I don't know how to make it tomorrow. And at that point of desperation that I can release that to him, I am firmly here to tell you every single time there has been provision in ways I never, ever expected. And so I just want to encourage you. Crying out to the Lord should not always be the last thing that we do. When we forecast something coming down the pike and we go, okay, Lord, you see that coming? Because I see the freight train coming. The lights are on. It's heading my way. I don't know how to stop this thing, right? That is when we go to the Lord to go, okay, how do we derail that? How do we fix it? How do we get on another track? What do we do here? And we're asking the Lord before the train hits us, how do we fix it? Now, there are going to be times that it doesn't matter what happens. You are going to get hit by that train no matter what you do because you didn't see it coming. For whatever reason, it came out of the blue. That's still the best time to immediately go, Lord, I don't know what just happened, but this is bad and I need your help. Like now. And he does it. I'm telling you, he does it. And it might be a nudge, a whisper, a thought, a friend, a phone call, a letter, a call to the bank, a call to your mortgage company, a call to your car company, a call to even getting on food stamps. There is no shame in getting help in the time and season that you need it. I guarantee you, you're going to pay taxes at some point. No matter what country you're in, you're going to pay taxes at some point. So to get the help that you need in the time that you need it, and you don't take it, that's a pride issue. Whole nother word for another day. But I want to encourage you. That will keep you from what God has for you. So receive the blessings. Receive what God has for you. And he's going to send it to you in the moments that you need it. I promise you. Now, remembering that he has everything that he needs to give you in the time that he needs to give it to you. And that he has the cattle on the 1,000 hills. And so when I have something come in and I know there's a bill that needs to go be paid, I'm like, so that looks like about a 50 header, Lord. Do you want to go take care of that? He and I have that kind of relationship. I think he laughs at me a lot. And it is. He needs to go sell 50 cattle so I can pay this bill, right? And he does. I just can't describe to you the craziest ways that I have had money come in. It's insane. All right. The other thing that I want to remind you is that God is not only your provider, but he is your protector. He is your power. And you already live from a state of knowing him, so you do not lack. You don't lack. And sometimes that's a mindset shift for us. We're so used to being in poverty, of barely making it from paycheck to paycheck, that we live in that poverty mindset all the time. I have no idea this year how the Lord is going to blow up my business. I know it. I know it as well as I'm sitting here, and he's preparing things, and he's positioning me to do certain things in my business to be able to receive what I know is coming, because I'm walking in that faith. I'm walking in that understanding and expectation that here is where we were and this is where we're going. And it's so cool to see how he's lining things up to get me from point A to point B. It is just really cool, right? And he wants to do the same thing for you. He wants you to walk in joy and in passion, enjoying your life. Your life was not meant to be a drudgery. I don't believe it for 1 second, no matter the amount of chaos. So last piece of that is, if you do feel lack in some way, whether that be a lack in a relationship, work, material things, even your health, ask God why you feel there's a lack. Until you actually possess the why you feel that way, you're not going to be able to receive the blessings that he could give you that would erase the lack as what you know it is. And that knowing is head knowledge, not heart knowledge. So when we get the understanding of the heart knowledge of how much God loves you and how much he's willing to go sell all those cattle on 1,000 hills for you, that makes a huge difference. So what are our wisdom verses for today? Jealousy, the green-eyed monster, and realizing we don't lack. So 1 Corinthians 3:3, you are still worldly. For since there is jealousy and quarreling among you, how are you not worldly? Are you not acting like mere humans? If we have Christ within us, we are co-heirs. We are royalty. So we have to step it up. James 4:2-3, You desire, but do not have. You covet, but you cannot get what you want. So you quarrel and you fight. You do not have because you do not ask God. And when you ask, you do not receive because you ask with the wrong motives. That sounds familiar. Our heart motives. So let's get our heart motives right. 1 Peter 2:9. But you are a chosen people. You, the person I'm talking to right now on the screen, you are a royal priesthood. You were chosen, treasured, cherished. You are called a masterpiece. You are beautiful, precious to him. You are a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of the darkness and into his wonderful light. So how do we use all this newfound information about jealousy, the good and the bad, right? So remember, wisdom is the hearing, but we also need the understanding and application of it. So here are your 3 questions. How has jealousy been really showing up in your life? Take a second to think about that. Are you even jealous of your kid? You know, there are times where my kiddo would just sit and play with her dolls, and I'd be walking by making dinner or something, and I'd be like, oh, I remember those days. And it's not that I was jealous. I just remember life being a whole lot easier than it is now as an adult, right? And they have absolutely no idea what's coming down the pike as a 5-year-old playing with their dolls. And wasn't that just a joy of innocence, right? So we can appreciate those moments. We don't have to be jealous of them. We don't have to covet them. So how has your jealousy in your life been positive or negative? And how have you used it to your advantage in those positive situations? How can you change this jealousy and transform it by wisdom? So don't forget, take the scripture, especially 1 Peter 2:9, that you are a chosen people, and insert your name. And don't worry, I will post this on our wall, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Please go live and share with me. What was this about jealousy that surprised you the most? Tomorrow's word is abandonment. That's often triggered by jealousy. We get jealous and then we kind of self-sabotage, and then we get abandoned, and then we wonder why. Yeah, it's a whole cycle right there. So join us again tomorrow for more emotions, wisdom, and your body. Register at kcrystalgriffith.com to receive more insights and your feelings wheel. You guys have a fantastic, blessed day, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care.